good evening. Welcome to the DONNYCHAINGANG. We are live here and we are going to be bringing you all of the action out on the Duchy circus. And it's going to be very interesting because as somebody's just put on the message board that I can see on our screen, the Duchy estate won't know what's hitting them. And they did right. The whole of the DONNYCHAINGANG are here in Yorkshire and we're going to be heading out onto the circuit very soon. Let's catch up here on Struggle Week with the bear himself, Russ Downing. Let's see if we can get hold of Russ, hopefully just on the end of a set of headphones and a microphone. We'll just be there in quite literally 2 seconds. So that's one and that's two. Hello, Russ.
And miraculously, I'm here.
Hallelujah. I thought for a moment you were just getting me worried, weren't you? That's all it was.
Just keeping you on your toes, mate.
Excellent. And we have quite a huge field of riders just starting to join. I think it's well over 300 who are going out on this, the second of the Struggle Events week rides. The first one was pretty brutal, but this isn't that easy, is it?
No, it's going to be a hard crit. It's going to be, we have some hard crits around the top end of Yorkshire, like the Skipton one, and things like that in the past. Yeah, this is going to be controlled, but it's going to get nasty, as Matt Stevens always calls it.
Yeah, definitely, because we know that it's going to get a bit busy and it's pretty brutal. So staying together is going to be pretty critical to start off with. Then we're going to move on, and everybody needs to remember, take a picture of their Zwift screen with their TSS. Let's see who has suffered the most. We've got two key winners in Sarah Lomas and Carl Johnson so far. We've got two runners up in Kieran Brown and I think it's Lucy Hestine James already, and we've got more coming out at the end of tonight. So let's see who is going to be suffering. Are you going to be suffering, Russ? Have you been up to much?
Yeah, I am going to be suffering. My legs aren't in good shape. They were. I'm not going to lie, I was battered after Tuesday night, so I had snuck out for a quick hour yesterday afternoon, and busy day, one thing another today. So I'm going to get a kicking. I've even just tried to give myself a bit of morale, and I've made my bike yellow. So,
it's looking good. Liking the yellow bike. Just need a yellow top to match. There must be a yellow one.
Yeah, they can't keep trying, but they're all a bit funny colours. It's all, sometimes from the front they look yellow, you spin around and they look blue and purple and that, so yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Zwift one's a nice one, isn't it? So we're going to head out and we're going to head on circuit, but we're not going to be out as long as somebody we know who is riding on Monday.
Yeah, we've got, he's been on the gang a couple of times in the past few months. But yeah, Ty Ruffington is doing 24 hours on Zwift starting at 8 o'clock Monday morning. And he's doing it for Great Ormond Street Hospital, which, it's a great cause. Myself and Dino done work for them in the past down at the velodrome. So, yeah, it's going to be a good stint. So, if anyone's at a loose end on Monday, come on, join Ty, give him a ride on, give him a thumbs up, actually ride with him. I'm doing a stint at 2 till 4. I think Dino's doing one later in the evening, 8 till 10. I think Matt Stevens is doing one early morning. Got Ben Foster, the football player, he's coming on board. So, some great guests coming on board. So if you fancy a ride with Ty, jump on. Say even if you can't ride, just give him a follow on the old companion app and give him a thumbs up when he's riding. It'll get him through the 24 hours, because it's like the DONNYCHAINGANG. It's not going to be easy.
It's definitely not going to be easy, is it? We know it's going to be hard for him. 24 hours is tough. So 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday, all the way to 8 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. That is a tough ask. And time is ticking along, so we definitely don't have 24 hours. In fact, we've got less than 2 minutes for us, so better let you get on. Have a good one. We'll try and catch up with you a little bit later on in the show.
Cheers, mate. And yeah, I didn't realise where the time's gone tonight. It's been a busy one.
It's been flying. Cheers, Russ. So a massive thank you to Russ. We are going to catch up with him in a little bit. So let's take you across to the course. Now, this course is tough. We knew it was going to be a tough week. It isn't called Struggle Week on the Donny Chain Gang for nothing. And it is going to be tough. Those people who are part of the DCG gang, which is the Donny Chain Gang Supporters Club, the guys who make this possible. Because to be brutally honest, without them, this ain't going to happen. They are getting the little inside information that we're going to get you now, and that is on the course. Now tonight, Russ of course is our yellow beacon. Our red beacon is Ian Bale having to jump into that role, and good to have Ian on there. He's driving the party bus, and don't forget you can go onto the Facebook page and get the Discord channel, one of the computers here in the studio running Discord, and the party bus Discord channel is on the go if people want to use it. Don't have to. It's there if people want it. We also, of course, are going to bring you all the details of the course, and that is Duchy Estate. Now, it's a quick run-in to Duchy Estate. It's only a very short run-in, 1.7k. 13 laps, though, and it is done on laps today because it's a bit like a crit. But with 13 laps at 3k, it's going to be fast. We're going to finish on the sprint banner. That's the green sprint banner, and it's a little bit hidden. We'll show you quite where that is. 40.7k. Sounds simple. What isn't simple is the climbing. 481 metres in total. So let's show you what that looks like as our riders start to head out onto the course. We're going to let them get themselves together, and I'm going to disappear. And we're going to bring you, first of all, the Zwift Insider map. So the red is the run-in, and we're going to go along the straight. We're going to drop down onto the circuit. We're not going to join them until we hit the circuit. I don't think till we hit circuit proper. So our riders just coming out of the pens, and they're going to drop down onto the reverse of the normal finishing straight, and then get into the Duchy circuit proper. Now on the map, looks pretty short, looks pretty flat on there. Let's show you it, courtesy of the wonderful guys at Fellow Viewer. This is what our riders face. We're going to be dropping down from the right hand side down that ski jump ramp all the way down to the bottom. Then we've got the massive climb up, a drop down in towards the sprint, which is a slightly downhill run, then into town, little climb, a drop back into the bottom, and then a sharp right and the long drag back up again. It's going to be brutal. There is no other word for it. It's going to be absolutely brutal. If you like this, if you like the Velo Viewer, if you want to be able to spin it, put on distance markers, etc., then what you need to do is get yourselves onto Velo Viewer. And Ben from Velo Viewer, one of the key supporters of the Chain Gang, and he's also one of the fast guys who's going to be out there. Now, our riders are out on course. We are going to be in with Russ very, very shortly. And we just need to just jump in with Russ. So let's see, whereabouts is Russ? Has he managed to get the troops all together around him? So let's take a little bit of a look out on course. So the picture starts to build. Russ at the moment up in the sky with helicopter. It's looking pretty busy down there. In comes the helicopter audio. So let's jump up in the sky. And as you can see at the moment, it is looking like there's a big mob all the way around Russ with that yellow beacon over the top. And our riders at the moment, well, they are just making their way down. We're going to show you it in terms of the map. Top right hand side of the screen, you'll see we have a zoomed in, a zoomed out, and of course the 3D. Now, if you're at the top right hand side of your screen, you can see we're on that long leg. This is the big climb up, currently at 2%. It's a long gradual ascent before we do the right hand turn into the sprint, through the chicanes, effectively through that finish line, and then we're going to work the way right the way around. So let's jump in, because the guys, it certainly looks like they are going to be onto the circuit proper very, very quick. Now remember guys, this is Struggle Week, and we couldn't do this without the support of the guys from Struggle. They have got some great giveaways. If you are a member of the Donny Chain Gang Supporters Club, don't forget, of course, you've got the links. It comes to you with the links email. If you want the link to the event, if you want the discount codes, if you want the great giveaways, you need to be in the gang. And to do that, it's really easy. You can donate for a month for £20, or you can donate for the year for 200, and that gets you into the gang. And once you're in the gang, we then send you all the links. You don't need to search for them, you don't need to wait for them to come out. As soon as they're out, we send them to you. It's our way of saying thank you for supporting us and trying to offset some of the costs in putting the event on every Tuesday and Thursday, as well as our Women's Wednesdays. And of course, more details on that coming for next week, because we are going to be on a pretty gritty week. But at the moment, in the middle of the home of struggle events, and I'm sure Matt Manicky ruined the efforts he put in on Tuesday. So let's take a little bit of a drop down into the circuit. Let's head across and let's see what's happening down on Struggle Week here on the Donny Chain Gang, live on the Downey Cycling YouTube channel. So we're down here with Russ in the middle of the chain gang here on the Downey Cycling YouTube channel. My name, Matt Payne. I'm here bringing you all of the action. Matt Payne, myself, Russ Downing, the man that you can see on your screen with the chevron over his head in the grey jersey. We put this together week in, week out. We've been doing it for almost a year now, and the shows are certainly mounting up. The number of hours of coverage is mounting up, as well as the amount of kit we keep on destroying. And we've got to say a massive thank you to all of our supporters on the Donny Chain Gang Supporters Club, the DCG gang, who help us. Remember, if you join in just for one ride, you can always donate there. You can join the gang as well. Our riders are well out round circuit, and we're going to bring you all the details at the moment. Riding in with Russ, and if we jump up with our drone camera, just get up above the hedgerows in the leafy suburbs here. We're going to take a run down now. Russ in that grey jersey, and at the moment just trying to hold everybody together. Remember, well over 300 riders in the ride. That means we are not going to get everybody on screen. That's really simple, and that is quite simple because with 100 riders rendered on Zwift, it is really critical that you keep an eye on your big map. You are looking to stay around the yellow beacon. That is absolutely critical if you're riding and listening live. Don't forget, we have our sweeper out on circuit as well, and our sweeper, and that is Ian Brooks. He's out and about around the circuit, and we are going to be heading that direction very, very shortly. And let's have a look at Ian with the gang from Bolsover and District, and it looks like Ian just making his way into the right hand turn here. He's got company, looks like he's got stables with him, so let's take a little bit of a look. Ian doing his hair specially for tonight, as well as red bike, red jersey and shorts, very well colour coordinated. I think there's some nice little red highlights on the wheels as well. So great to see our sweeper already in action with stables for company, and he's the man who's going to be having the unenviable task of trying to get everybody together on the way around. We're just going to try and jump back off my little avatar, who seems to be just stuck on the start line. Very sad day. It's always the way. So let's have a little look. Looks like Mr. Brooks is riding comfortably. Now we're going to take a little bit of a look at the back of the pack, because I think Sammy Stewart of Crimson could well be the rider just being distanced at the back here. And Sammy, a very fast sprinter and rider, a regular on the Donny Chain Gang. And Sammy Stewart looking pretty smooth around this corner, keeping those revs nice and high at 100 revs a minute. And at the moment just pushing on in front of Mr. Brooks. As you can see, lots of people just taking a little bit of a roll around the back, and Sammy here just diving away back in through that pack. So we're going to jump out and we're going to jump in with Mr. Morris, and Morris looking good. Liam Calloway in this group as well. Looks like we've got at least one of the Velabads. So we've got Mr. Woodbridges here. Good to see him back on. Thank you for your support, mate. One of our fantastic gang members, and looks like Woodbridge is sat in here looking like he's got it pretty much under control at the moment. We do have quite a number of good riders in here. Looks like Mr. Miller from Fusion CC is back in again. Sam Emsley is in here. Looks like Booth is here. Dixon Langmead in this group. We're just going to work our way down through these. It looks like Berry in here. Just keeping a little eye on these riders. Andy Hawes looks like he's back in. Tom Parsons in here. Got to watch out for Tom. Kingston's in here, Beatty, Dickinson, Mr. Gibbons in the group, David Hopkinson's in here, Gail Phillips, our Supremo when it comes to the Red Beacon Rotor. She's the superstar with the Excel spreadsheet who keeps an eye on who's doing what and make sure everybody's in place. Looks like we've got Alfie Atherton for the Cycling Academy. The Cycling Academy riders always in the hunt when it starts to get busy, but they know the score. They've been told by the boss, Jimmy Mack, to behave themselves until that point, but they know that being a pro rider means you've got to be able to go hard when it's the right time, and that's absolutely critical on the way through. So just keeping our eye on these riders behind Russ at the moment. It's looking like it's pretty strung out already. We're just working our way through the turns on the way in towards the sprint. So looks like we're going to take it up to about 2.5 watts per kilo. We did do our maths lesson at the start, and one man who is going to be able to blow that apart at the end of the ride, Mason Holliman, the rider who took second place in the first of the struggle rides. The first rider over the line was Connor Swift today. Mr. Holliman sat in this pack, and Holliman of course riding for the Israeli Academy and looking like he means business already, sitting in there nicely, hanging on to the wheels and not doing too much work, just surfing his way around, doing a Matt Maneke in fact, not doing too much at the front, and managing to keep himself in place. And the reason we mention Matt, because Matt of course is one of the dynamic duo that make up struggle events, and Victoria Tremlin, Victoria and Matt Maneke, of course very keen bike riders, very quick riders as well, and of course good at dreaming up routes. And one of the key routes you've got to keep an eye out actually starts in Harrogate, because the ride that is Strugglesdales, that's going to go out on the 23rd of May. You get all the details on www.ridethestruggle.com. Actually comes out from the race HQ. We went past their Struggle HQ up on Struggle Corner, as it's now known, on the ride on Tuesday. But of course the Struggledale's a little bit longer than tonight's ride, with a total of 108 miles, that's 174 kilometres, 9,300 feet of climbing, 2,800 metres, and it's blooming hard. There's no two ways about it, because you go over Hartwith, over Greenhow, which is one of the most evil climbs ever. I personally hate that with a passion. I'd much rather climb out of Malham, and we do that as well. Then up Park Rash, a place that Russ has got fond memories of, not. Now then over Trapping Hill, over Two Stoops, and back into Harrogate. Really busy ride that to get round. It is a cracking route and stunning scenery, and in fact the Yorkshire Dales have just been voted the best place to come and visit in the world ever.com, or a similar kind of reward. You could expect it would be. Lucky enough to grow up in Leeds, the Dales right on my doorstep, and there's some fantastic riding. So Russ just having interesting moments with his message board as he makes his way around here. So it looks like he's not getting the messages that are heading his direction. Well, that's dead easy. The only person you need to listen to is Russ. Russ will tell you exactly what's happening. I'm just keeping an eye. I think I've just seen Mr. Lavery in here. Charlie Babbitt's in this group. Looks like Tom Scubala sitting on the back of the group here. Miss Cookie's in here as well. This Cookie now able to ride the Donnychaingang in the warmth now that she's finally got a door. I'm not saying that they're tight in Lancashire, but they make Yorkshire folk look really generous. She's only just put a door on the Pain Cave. What can I say? Yorkshire folk have a bad rap for being tight. Just them over the border on the wrong side, that's for sure. So our riders on the long drag here. It looks like Miller just dropping off the back and then starting to push back in, and that's the way to ride this if you're having a tough time at the back. Get yourself up to the back of the main part of the bunch. As you can see, lots of riders just riding the way in and through, and looks like Phillips just behind here. So just going to roll in with Phillips. Phillips just pushing up from the back as well, just putting out 2.9 watts per kilo, just getting himself back onto the back of the pack, and this is where all the action is at the moment. Looks like Grant has made it. Mark Grant has made it in. We were conversing whilst we were live on air. One of my many multitasking things that was going on. You have to forgive me if I'm a little bit scrambled today. We were doing a lot of multitasking on the way in, including answering emails, text messages, WhatsApp messages, Zoom, as well as keeping an eye on all of the broadcaster cameras, the umpteen computers, one of which decided it was going to have a little bit of an overheating moment just prior to the start. Just what you don't want. Cooled down a little bit now, but it's definitely melted me ice cream. Can't beat a nice day sit on the Stray near Struggle HQ, just into town and having an ice cream. So the finish line is the green banner, and let's ride it in with Mr. Grant so you get a good view. As you can see, a good view is a relative term because you come around the left and you do a right, you do a left, then you've got this long sweeping right, and you just make out the green banner going over the top. It is a really tricky finish to come into, and as you can see, plenty of people getting personal best times on the way through here already. And Chris has time, James. No, I'm not going to do the snow and confetti of PBs. We've done it to death. Don't need to do it anymore. Plus, I'm drinking me coffee. Don't forget, of course, discount codes for Grand Tour coffee. The Ben Jenkins brews of the fantastic single source beans that are coming in courtesy of Ben. Ben, of course, the soigneur who works with Ineos now. He's been on Team Sky as well as with the British Cycling setup. In fact, Ben has been on the scene longer than I've been drinking coffee, I think, pretty much, and that takes some doing. So Ben, bring that in. Great discounts if you're a member of the gang, and the DCG gang, the Donny Chain Gang Supporters Club, providing you with discounts. We've got some great discounts for Pretty Gritty, and next week is Pretty Gritty week. Can't wait to tell you where their routes are. Absolutely loving it. We'll let you try and work it out. I'd like to say they're going to be easier than here, but not so sure. They're going to be a tough week next week, but that's it's all relative. We'll see. Now, one of the good things as we go around here, we can see the riders coming up behind, and we get to see who is able to count. Because whilst we're with Mr. Brooks at the back, we could name and shame anybody who doesn't understand the concept of a few watts. In fact, it's meant to be 2.5 watts per kilo. So let's have a little bit of a look at the front. Who should we name and shame who can't understand the concept of 2.5? Now, Mr. Cherry is struggling. He's rolling around the beacon at the moment, can't see anybody, so he's forgiven. However, if you look at the bottom of the screen there, these names going into Russ's Black Book, you can see Aaron Stone of Richardson's Trek consistently doing over the watts per kilo, so that's definitely one for the book. He might just stay here a little bit longer. Let's see if we catch somebody else. Who else is doing a lot more than 2.5 watts per kilo? Name and shame time. Don't look good for your team either. Team sponsors want you to be doing the business correctly. Looks like Russ just having a bit of a hammer up to the front to go tell a few folks off. So let's just drop in with Russ. And let's see, he's just round the corner. And just keeping an eye on what's going on a little bit further up the road. So the yellow beacon, currently at 10.2 kilometres, just ticking his way along. I think I've just seen Rob Kennison in here. Rob, of course, so we do talk about his partner in crime, and that is Andy Hawes quite a lot. But Rob Kennison, a very fast rider, arguably quicker than Andy. Although I'm not sure he's been doing as much riding of late, but class is permanent, that is for sure. And Kennison, a very, very classy rider indeed. So just taking a look, seeing this group around Rush, doesn't score regularly in at the kill, and Sonia Inslee in this group, teammate from Bolsover of our Beacon. Looks like Ian Taylor's in here. Now Ian, of course, 1080, one of our fantastic sponsors of Oakley August in the summer, and we're looking forward to working with Ian again a little bit later on. Not too much sunshine out there at the moment, although I have to say the clear Oakley's doing the business for me all the way through every time I do go outside. But Ian, one of our regular riders, and absolutely nailing this. Great to see he's absolutely moving well. So Taylor working his way through here in that pink jersey, and it's very much a Lamprey inspired kit, the fluo pink and blue jersey, for those that can remember it. And again, lots of PRs coming in here. Looks like Conor McGuigan holding it in around Russ. Aim is, of course, to stay nice and tight. Now Nick Dorsey's in here. Nick knows the score. Nick is a regular rider on the DONNYCHAINGANG, a regular rider for a number of years, and this course could suit him because a bit of power on these climbs always helps. And as you can see from those forearms, he's definitely been on spinach, so he's likely to go quick. Russ Rubus is back in here. Looks like Ruth Taylor. Scotland's in the group. Ben from Bellevue is here. Ben Lowe, of course, one of our key supporters, and Ben likely to be in at the finish. Looks like he's got his sprinter's helmet on there, or is it his freestyle helmet? And looks like he is all primed and ready to give it some beans once we get going. And of course, the guys from Bellevue, real key supporters of the DONNYCHAINGANG. We've got to say a massive thank you to them for looking after us as we come up towards the right turn that will take us up the climb. Now, Yorkshire is definitely not an easy ride. I should know. I grew up around these roads. These are regular riding roads for me in my younger years, and at the moment all these riders are looking really like they want to stay around Russ. They know so they've got to hold it around Russ, and you see plenty of power-ups. Those are the symbols over the top of the riders' heads. So a feather reduces your weight by 10%. So if you're 100 kilos, you get to lose 10 kilos. If you're about a 50 kilo rider like George, if he's lucky, he'll lose 5. If you see the aero, that reduces the aerodynamic drag by about 10%. Remember, there are plenty of power-ups. There is the drafting power-up as well. That's the van, and that means you get an extra 10 to 20%, depends on the game and who's put the settings in as to how fast you're going to go and how much advantage you get. So just taking a little bit of a look through this little group now. I think I'm just in with Jess Rise Bikes. Jess, of course, former national hill climb champion, and Jess, very, very fast rider. Second here on the struggle on ride number 1, and a rider who would definitely like the struggle Moors ride, I'm sure. Jess from Wales, but if she comes into God's own country, into Yorkshire, she'll find that the hills here are just as tough, if not more so. And Jess riding, and remember Struggle Moors, of course, 4th of July, and that's on a Sunday, 112 miles, so a little bit further than this, at 180k, but some amazing climbs. Boltby Bank. One day I will tell you the whole story about Boltby Bank and stretch marks on my brother's thighs, but it has something to do with riding the fixed. I won't tell you what gear it was, but he got up it just. Then Carlton Bank, home of the National Hill Climb a few years ago. Then across to the Côte de Grosmont, or basically the climb out of Grosmont. So if you go out of Grosmont and you go up the big climb, it's an even nasty climb. And then Glaisdale Horror, as you come over into Glaisdale, across to Rosedale, one of the nicest roads I think you can ever ride on. And then you've got the wonderful Rosedale Chimney, notorious from when it was the milk race and all of the cars burnt their clutches out. From there, it's a quick run back to the race HQ, Ampleforth Abbey, just south of the little town of Helmsley, and of course it's home of the Rydell Classic, the National Series road race, and of course that's always going to be a popular venue for riders because everybody knows just how sunny and scenic it is on the North York Moors on a good day, but beware, it can be like Wales and really wet as well. So don't forget, if you want to enter any of the struggle events, it's www.www www.ridethestruggle.com, and you will find all the details online. Don't forget, of course, you can get in touch with them on social media, and of course social media is one of the critical forms that you can enter the competition. If you suffer today, if you're having a hard time out on the course, if your TSS score is huge, if you look to us like you've suffered, then don't forget, we will be looking to reward you, and that is going to happen because what we're going to do is we are going to be looking for those people who post up their Zwift ride summary, including the TSS score. It's a ride report, and remember that if you do post that, not only will you know how hard you've gone, we'll know how hard you've gone, and just as importantly, Victoria and Matt over at Struggle Events will know how hard you've gone on. And like all Donny Chain Gang, we have equal prizes for men and women. Male and female riders always get the same. We have in fact turned down sponsorship before where people have been only wanting to give one prize, and we just basically refuse. So we won't give out prizes that are just for one gender. We always do it for two, and it does mean that we can make sure that we look after our male and female athletes alike with equal prizes, whether that's the first, second, third, or anywhere in the ride. We don't actually put competitions on when we have one of our specials. A number of reasons for that, but mostly so that we can focus on the riders and the athletes, particularly in terms of the women's ride, because we aim on putting out as much coverage and giving as much focus to the female athletes, and that is only a distraction from that if we are constantly mentioning a sponsor, if we're mentioning a competition. We're not focusing on the riders and the ride, and that is the most important thing on the Donny Chain Gang. But of course on the open chain gang, open to men and women, if we do a competition like we're doing with Struggle, then there are equal prizes for men and women, and that's how it should be. Let's face it. Anything that doesn't, where have you been, guys and girls? This is 2021, not 1821. So the helicopter up in the sky here above Russ in the top of Harrogate, just going past Larry Hickmott's yellow van out on the side of the course. I think he got wheel clamped when he was there for the Tour de France, which finished on these same roads here, and of course the UCI partners Struggle Events, the tour guys for the World Championships are here. And of course remember, we have had world champs here, we've had the Tour de France going through these roads. Everybody who is anybody is going to come down to Harrogate to ride this, and you can just see it is absolutely mad out there. Certainly very, very busy. Looks to me like Ian Brooks has just got the front of the group come past him. That's going to be very entertaining because by the look of it, Brooks is right in the middle of the Muppet Show. So let's take a little bit of a look. Remember, of course, Ian is the back of the group, Russ is the front, which means that the actual front of the ride is behind him. We never focus on anybody who's in front of the red beacon. That's sorry, of the yellow beacon until the go, and that is all about making sure the ride stays together. It looks sort of like there are a fair few Muppets in the Muppet Show tonight who have gone clear of the front of the yellow beacon, who clearly don't understand the maths of staying around a yellow beacon and holding the watts. Always entertaining. Now, because this is a sponsored week with somebody giving prizes to our riders, we won't be pulling the coverage. What we will do is we will name and shame if we find the people who are right up in front of Russ. We're just working our way back. This group is all pretty much in the middle around Russ. They're not very far actually up the road from Russ. It's about 40 metres, 30 metres. There he goes. In with Russ. So it's like Altaf Hussein rolling around where Russ is. Koos looks is in here as well. Crease is in here. Andrews Gibson as well. Remember the aim, to stay by the yellow beacon. Roll round with the yellow beacon. If you don't manage to do that, then you might as well go right on your own. We don't need you. We want gang members who are going to play the game. Playing the game means riding with Russ till the go, go, go. So you get the fast times. So Russ just ticking along here, rolling around in this pack. This lumpy circuit really is playing havoc with the groups. However, Russ holding in here. It looks like Tim Cooper sitting in this group. He knows the score. Tim, of course, helping us out with a lot of the tech, and got to say a massive thank you to him for his time in trying to keep everything under control and not blowing itself apart. And at the moment, it's just about holding together. So Russ is still just holding this group nicely together. We're at 18k at the moment. Russ just ticking his way up onto the climb here. Donnychangan, the man with the phenomenal TSS score that was slightly out of kilter in this group as well. He doesn't ever want to hear the words TSS ever again, I don't think. Every time we go onto that hill, and that sharp right hand turn takes you onto this steeper section. At the moment, the yellow beacon sitting at 19.2k, 19.3k. So as we just watch Russ making his way around the circuit, just a quick reminder, we're here on the Duchy circuit. The guys just heading in underneath the gantry here, live on the Downey Cycling YouTube channel. This the second ride in to struggle week, and as you can see, the ride getting quicker and quicker. The team are making their way around. They're going to take that right hand turn in a moment, head back in towards town. At the moment, Russ just sitting in this pack. Don't forget, of course, lots more rides on Zwift, lots of spin-off rides, and they're all listed on the Facebook page, the Facebook group for the Donny Chain Gang, all part of the DONNYCHAINGANG experience, all part of being part of this fantastic ride, this community of riders who most of the time look after each other. Every now and then we give each other a kicking. One man who's going to need some looking after is, of course, Ty Woffington, the multiple-time World Cycle Speedway champion. Put him into YouTube, put in Speedway, put in Ty Woffington, and you'll see exactly just how mental he is, how fast he is as well. And in the theme of being a bit nuts, he's going to go do what is going to be a very mad challenge. He's going to spend 24 hours on Zwift, kicking off at 8 a.m. on Monday, right the way through to 8 a.m. on Tuesday. 24 hours, not 24 is enough. Don't forget, of course, Russ is going to be joining him. I think it's 2 till 4 on Monday. But the more DONNYCHAINGANGers that go in and say hi, the more support he gets, the better he's going to be able to ride. And don't forget, of course, all being done for charity, including the Great Ormond Street Hospital. So make sure you get on there, get on to Zwift, give him some support, give him a ride on. And this fantastic platform bringing you Ty in action, 24 hours. And, of course, Ty, a rider who has been in and ridden the chain gang on a number of occasions when he's back from competition. It's one of the ways he keeps fit. In fact, lots of people in the various types of sports that have two wheels keep themselves fit and fast by riding on the DONNYCHAINGANG, and it's great to have everybody on board. Please remember, guys, the aim is to stay around the yellow beacon until the go, go, go. That's not yet. When it goes, we will let you know. So it's like Russ just up on to this section of climb. Looks like Andy Bishop down in with him at the moment. Jess Evans is in here. Taylor Allen. Andy Hall's in here now. Hall's is a man to watch out for. We mentioned him earlier on. Andy, of course, a regular on the DONNYCHAINGANG. And the man who knows the score. He will form a group around him. It almost inevitably happens. It's his animal magnetism that does it. Guaranteed to have a group around him. He's having a hard time, I think, today, whether he tells us or not, quite simply because he was out on a team time trial that ended up, I think it was a time trial of 2 instead of 4 yesterday, and the Sheffield TT series, of course, joining pretty much the rest of the cycling world on Zoom. Just in with Andy at the moment, and as you can see, nicely sitting in this pack. Looks like he's just around Mason Holliman. Altaf Hussein's around here. Nichols is in here. Vin Donahue in here. Joe Clay's in this group. It looks like Bennett in here. Charlie Babbitt, Mason Holliman, Chappell's in here. Ruth Taylor, Johnny Lightfoot in this group as well. You can see all these riders just nicely sitting on the wheels here. And if we follow them through, we just sit in with Andy. We're going to be taking this little turn here. As you can see, Andy nicely sitting in that pack. Looks like Mark Thwaites on his wheel. I'm going to take the left-hand turn now, and Andy just pushing his way through this pack. Around that left turn he goes, and this is where we're going to be able to see that green gantry coming up. And Russ just ticking his way through underneath the gantry here. So Andy Hall's just alongside Adi Dench. Looks like Alfie Atherton in here as well. Ollie Sawyer in here. Abbott's in here. Andy Verrill, the legend, the living legend that is Andy Verrill. My goodness. Andy showing that he can walk the walk, or should we say, ride the ride. And Andy, of course, no stranger to town centre races, one way or another. And of course, one of the stalwarts of the cycling scene, based over in the continent and looking good at the moment. So we keep an eye on Andy, just riding his way in and through. So it looks like Mr. Brooks is currently sitting at 19.6k. So he is pretty much 4 kilometres behind the riders here, behind Andy Verrill, Hardy, Finney and Co, who are all just tracking the back of the bunch, where Russ is just up the road at the moment. that gap is just starting to open up here. You can just see everybody's aware of that gap, and they are just going to start to move up, I think, to try and close it down. But we're going up on to the hillside here, and this is what happens if you've just been watching Andy's group here. It has packed together, but what will happen is that they could get themselves in trouble here. They could end up being distanced. You can see there are groups behind Russ's pack here. So Russ just up the road there, just dragging the group in. Roloff de Trois sitting at the back of that group. None leading the charge behind, trying to come and close that gap up behind. This is that chasing group of riders, and they are all over the road here, trying to get themselves back in touch with our lead group. Remember, our lead group, as far as the Donny Chain Gang is concerned, is not the first riders on the road until we get a go from Russ. The lead group is the yellow beacon group until Russ basically gives that signal, and then we'll follow anybody from Russ up the road. Anybody who's gone ahead is studiously ignored or abused publicly. It's a bit like a public flogging or being put in the stocks, just a cycling Swift equivalent. And it's me throwing the tomatoes, and I can throw pretty hard. Sandy Verrill nicely on this climb. 1 or 2 feathers are going in here, reducing the riders' weight. 1 or 2 drafting power-ups. The blue one there just in over the head of one of our riders. All these riders are aware that the beacon is starting to stretch the gaps, starting to open this up. So as you can see, we're working our way up here. Looks like Rick van der Gate is just up the road here. We're just going to drop back out a little bit. You can just see it is getting very, very stretched here on the way through. Riders in 1s and 2s, people trying to hang on as long as they can. Then the legs going pop, they start going backwards really, really quickly. And the key is to get a little bit of rest, then find yourselves a group, and that is what's happening here. Just seeing Altaf Hussein in this group here with Llewellyn, Haig, Thornley all in here. So Russ just going in towards the green banner. We're just going to be riding in with Rick van der Gate at the moment. Going to drop in with Miller from Fusion, or maybe even Altaf Hussein. Altaf's a regular rider on the Chain Gang. Good to have Altaf in here. And Altaf now taking that right hand turn. He's going to be over the sprint start line, and then he's got the run into the sprint. It's 311 riders so far out on that sprint. The fastest woman is Sammy Stewart from Crimson team, from the Crimson Performance team of 21.28. Sarah Lomas, the winner of the struggle ride on Tuesday, in second place. The men, it's going to be Bobby Evans, I think, who is leading that out at the moment. But remember, it is going to get very, very busy indeed, and it is certainly starting to get wound up on the front. The pace is picking up. It's not everyone for himself yet. It soon can be. So let's just jump in with Russ now. Russ sat here, firmly ensconced in this group. 100 riders around Russ. Remember, there are 300 riders on circuit, so really, really busy up here. Just watching Mark Thwaite sitting on the wheels here. Luke Taylor's in here. Stu Coates in here. Dan Ward from Teesdale CLC's in this little group here. Copeland's in as well. Tim Cooper, Rob Kennison rolling in this pack, and just looking out, look for Matt Manningkey. I think he's just over there on the right in the orange with a black band over his back. Matt Manningkey, of course, one of the 2 key people at the struggle events. Victoria and Matt, of course, both having ridden the Chain Gang. Matt on here for the second time this week. We'll see whether his legs can hold out as we get into the tricky section. Just watching these riders come around these turns. We've got to keep an eye out for Sammy Stewart. Stewart, of course, the women's sprint leader. And we saw Sammy right at the start of the programme, working her way up from the back of the pack. The Crimson Performance rider sat in this group, 90 revs per minute, 180 beats per minute, 333 watts, top right hand side of your screen. And Sammy with the fastest sprint time so far, sat nicely in here, and the go has gone. So Russ has hit the go button, and this is where things are going to get really interesting. We're just in at the top of the screen at the moment, and it is looking decidedly interesting down there. So it looks like the pack really is starting to break up. Russ in with this group. Sammy Stewart trying to work her way up to the front. It is certainly looking like it is a glitchy evening all round. Everything suffering a little bit. And we're in with Matt Manakee, a man who should be suffering a lot right now. Let's take a little bit of a look at the Struggle Events man is in here. He looks like this in real life. Maybe not quite so good looking. So 12.6k to the finish when we hit the line. So I think that's going to be 4 laps if my maths is correct. So 4 laps to go, and Matt Manakee putting in the aero, going to get a little bit of a assistance here, going to be able to get across that gap. He's going to need to. We're just going to go back up in the air, and you can see he's in front of Russ. Russ is sat behind, tracking on the wheels. Matt Manakee pushing on hard here. Looks like Charlotte Coldclough sitting just in front. Coldclough, of course, one of our really fast riders, and they are chasing this group in front. There are 1 or 2 riders quickly giving it a bit of a bash up on the front. We're going to move our way up through them if we can. So just going to jump in first of all with Russ here. So just riding with Russ, who is in this group. Looks like Charlotte Coldclough towing Russ up there. We're going to try and get across to Coldclough, who is putting in a big old dig here. And Coldclough are working well in the black, white and light blue kit here. And got them almost in touching distance of that group in front. Question is, can they close it down? It looks like everybody wants to be back together again. It's not a decisive breakaway as yet. It looks like Mosley in here. Easter's in this group as well. Sorry, just up the road is Easter now. We're going to take a little bit of a jump in. We're going to try and pick the right riders to go in with. Right at the front, here we go. Mason Holliman in this leading group. This is our leaders at the moment. So Mason Holliman, the man who was sat in and amongst the group, with Russ in here, looking good at the moment, and Mason Holliman's going to, I think, push up towards the front on this climb. McNamara's in here. He was in the chase on Tuesday, so was Downtree. Looks like John Wild in here as well. It is really busy in here. So just keeping an eye. It looks like Harrison Tacey in that red and white kit. A very aggressive rider indeed. Coleman, it's probably the only rider who can match him in terms of aggression when they're out on the circuit. Is absolutely flat out at the moment. And remember, these roller coaster roads really do give people a hard time when they're out on circuit. So the moment this is our leading group. Hilbert comes up onto the front. It's Brickley up there. He moves out of the way. Over the top comes Howarth now, and at the moment Howarth just being pushed aside by Holliman. So Holliman working his way through. Then it's Joel Davis, then it's Charlotte Coldclough. Ben Bellevue is in here. Looks like Alan in this group, but now Mason Holliman starts to open up. Here we go. You can see Holliman just starting to stretch out the gap. 10 watts per kilo just to open that gap up. And it is starting to get a little bit close here. He's keeping it ticking on. Gilmore's chasing him at 6 watts per kilo. Young Matt Gilmore, the 15-year-old, always on the chase, always working well. The question is, has he got the power to go through? This is where it's going to get really interesting because there's so many riders on circuit. Mason Holliman can get a few riders in between. He's going to get some assistance from them, and as he keeps on pushing on, every time he reaches a rider, he's going to get some assistance. It's an easier circuit to break away on than it was at the ride on Tuesday. So just looking back, the guys are absolutely strung out, and Mason Honeyman now coming in through the line. Once again, he's into that sprint section, and Mason Honeyman putting in the aero dig here. The gap back to Harrison Tacey is at 6 seconds at the moment, so 6 seconds for Mason Honeyman, and you can see what that looks like in real life. It is a big old gap. That's the chasing pack at the moment, who are just coming under the gantry now, and you can just see how far Mason has stretched this out. So it's Mason Honeyman now with a 9-second gap, and that gap is to Harrison Tacey. Tacey, the rider on the front of this arrowhead of riders, who is chasing Scott Easter right in here. Looks like John Wildcleave, Drymore in here, Kieran Smith's in this group, Charlotte Colclough in the pack, just chasing at 3 seconds. And you can just see that gap are coming. It looks like Richardson and Butcher are really trying to push on to try and get this group back in. And if they're not careful, this chasing group are going to get absorbed. Harrison Tacey at the moment is the nearest rider to Mason Honeyman. Honeyman is currently at 8 seconds. So can Honeyman hold off this big chasing bunch? It's a big group behind, and it's only going to get bigger because behind them, these riders are charging down the hillside behind. They have the advantage of the group draft on the way down, but at the moment, Mason Honeyman, 7.5 watts per kilo. He's on a mission, is this man. He was second to Connor Swift, on Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. Time flies when you're having fun in Harrogate, that's for sure. Plenty of time at the trade shows in my case. So around we go. John Paul Wheater just seeing the leader coming past here. The chasing group behind have closed that gap down. They're down at 2 seconds at the moment. McNamara now on the front of the chase. Coleman in this group trying to jump in. Everybody's trying to jump in on the wheels of the leaders as they come. But at the moment, it is Mason Honeyman who is with the lead at the moment. He is continuing to push on. Can he keep the gap opened? It looks like Collie jumping onto his wheel. I think I'm pretty sure that Collie, who's just jumping onto his wheel, is one of those riders who was down the road giving himself a head start. So he's used the sliding room to come back. Dirty taxis. Spotted and busted. Here we go, Mason Honeyman now being closed down by the group. We're on to this kick up once again. And this is the climb up towards the finish. Mason Honeyman now just easing off on those pedals. The group being led up here. And Tacey still very, very close to the front here. Tacey is definitely one of those riders who I wouldn't discount. Chris Hilbert's got to be in with a chance here. Kieran Smith continuing to push. John Wild, the fella viewer, the old fella doing the business here. John showing that class is definitely permanent. And at the moment, certainly looking like he's riding very, very smoothly indeed. This is our leading group. Just keeping an eye on who's in here. The grey camo of Mason Honeyman, the hot favourite for this, is in the group. But Kieran Smith moving up on the the right hand side there. Looks like Scott Easter is in this group. Going well. Remember, it's 2 to go at the line this time. 2 to go at the line this time. So around the corner they go. Really key for our leaders as they come in to keeping an eye on where they are in this circuit. At the moment, Mason Honeyman continues to push on, and he's going to come in right near the front, but looks to me like Dryberg coming up towards the front now. Collie keeps on coming. Wild's right up here as well. Hutchinson's in here. Don't discount Alex Hutchinson, the prologue rider on home turf here. Prologue team DSR by Matt Managee, one of the key men and key guys at the struggle events. Victoria Tremlin, the partner in crime, who between them stitch together the fantastic events, Struggle Stales and Struggle Moors. And if you want to put a DCG gang in there, you can now put a team in all together into the struggle events. www.ridethestruggle.com. Bit of a struggle trying to stay with this lot at the moment. It is really, really busy. This is our leading group at the moment. Scott Easter with a 1 second lead, just in front, trying to sneak off the front here. Let's maybe do him a little bit of damage here. Sorry. So Scott Easter is our current leader on the road. He has Ben from Valley Viewer, Dryberg and Co coming in behind him. And as you can see, they are just coming over the top of him very, very quickly indeed. And at the moment, Scott now dropping into the back of this pack. It really is a who's who of riders. We're now on to the next climb up, the penultimate climb, as you come in and round, taking the right hand turn, dropping down towards the bottom. Remember, it's going to be a 1 lap to go when they hit the line next time. It will be 1 more lap to go when they hit the line next time. They currently have a lap and a half at the moment, and it looks like McNamara just pushing on at the front of this group. Harrison Tacey coming over the top once again. Kieran Smith not getting his nose out into the wind too much here, and I think of anybody, he certainly seems to be taking it reasonably easy in here. The question is, who could take this out for the win? Who's got the big sprint? We're on this rundown at the moment. This is the leading group on the way through, and as you can see, once we hit a group of riders, people are continuing to push on to try and stretch the group out. McNamara, I think it is, who's up at the very front of the group, and we're going to just keep an eye. Dryberg's up there as well, and it has split slightly here. Mason Holliman's in. It's 1 lap to go at the line this time. Going to take a little bit of a check here. So it's 1 lap to go at the line this time. And at the moment, it looks like Scott Easter just being distanced here. We're going to drop in with Tacey, who is right in the fight at the moment. Tacey in the red and white. We're just trying to keep our eye on who's going to be leading this out. There are some big numbers coming up in front. Looks like Mason Holliman is chasing hard here. Everybody wants but everybody wants to be up on the front now. Mason Holliman and Driver Gilmore are going well here, and of the riders, Gilmore, I think it is, who is the furthest up the road as the youngster at the moment. Matt Gilmore just in the blue there. He's got company though. He's got company because he's got Dryberg in there, John Wild in there as well. Kieran Smith are in here, and as I see this, with 1 lap to go, this is the leading group, just mixed in with the riders here, coming through very, very quickly. Though you can see everybody pushing on, and Kieran Smith has continued to push towards the very front here. Kieran Smith coming through quite hard. I think at 6 watts per kilo, everybody wants to be right in at the kill at the moment, and it's really difficult working where it is. It's worse than a town centre crit. It's worse than a tour series going around one of the really quick circuits, something like Peterborough. Trying to keep a check of where everybody is on this at the moment. Now let's jump in with Kieran. Kieran's not going to let the front go. Pretty smart rider. He knows where people are going to be, and just keeping an eye on this. I think McNamara and Ellen are the riders continue to push at the front. Remember, with less than 1 lap left to go, if the guys want a clear finish, they are going to have to kick hard very soon. Mason Holliman in this group at the moment, as people are continuing to try and push out the front, and again Hutchinson working hard to open the gap up. Driver goes over the top of him at the moment, but all of these riders are fighting for position. They know they haven't got long left, and this is the leader of the group. It's Tacey at the moment, then Wild going up very, very quickly through. And you can see it's not long on the front for anybody, quite simply because the pace gets really, really hot. You put your nose out in front, it hits the wind, and just like in real life, you get yourself dragged back in. Now, this really is a game of poker here. Nobody wants to go too hard as we go into the right-hand turn. This is the penultimate hill. So here we go. This is it, penultimate hill. One more drag to go. When we get around the right hand turn, we're going to drop down into the bottom of the course. We're going to take the right hand turn onto the final climb. It's all together at the moment. I'm not sure who my money's on here. Holliman's got to be a pretty hot favourite as we come through. We're just in with Tacey, and of the riders, he could well be the man who's going to take it. Tacey, of course, taking a win already on the DONNYCHAINGANG. The ride that's not a race but often turns into one, and these guys are absolutely flying here. You can see just how fast this really is. They are hammering around and hurtling past people as they come in towards finish. McNamara now goes onto the front. Now Tacey comes around the side of him. Tacey on the front here. Everybody wants the front as they come up, and the kick has gone, and the kick has gone from Mason Holliman. It's Holliman who's got the front here. Is he going to be able to take this out? He's got the gap. He's got 1 second on Kieran Smith. Kieran Smith is coming behind, but he's faded. Now, who's got the power? Tacey chasing in the red and white. But look at the speed here. This is absolutely mad stuff. Tacey is chasing here, and he's coming onto Holliman's wheel. Oh, it's going to be tight here. Can Tacey just go straight through? Holliman puts in the aero draft. Can he get on the wheel? Tacey's kicking again. Mason kicks to get on the wheel, but Tacey has got a slight gap here. He could take this out. He could take this to the finish. It's not far. He's got one right-hand turn, one left-hand turn, and that long curve. Is Tacey going to scalp Holliman? Is Holliman going to get second place twice in a row here at Harrogate? Tacey is nailing this round the left-hand turn. He comes. That gantry's going to be coming. Where is the chase behind? It's gone. It's all over. It's Harrison. Tacey takes the win. Nails them on the Harrogate circuit, and the rest were left struggling, with Mason Holliman coming through to take second place, then Ellen of the Cycling Academy in third, Dryburgh, then Smith, then Hutchinson, followed by Wild. I think it is going to be Vince and Grenfell coming through. It's absolutely mad. Rest of the positions, I haven't got a chuffing clue, believe me. Proper Yorkshire phrase, chuffing clue, lad. That is for sure. Now let's just jump back in with Russ, who is on his way up here. It is pretty bad in that circuit, so we're going to just keep an eye on Russ in there at the moment. Russ on his way into the finish. Not jumping in with Russ today. The tech issues that have plagued a number of riders also playing havoc with the kit here in the studio, so maximising it for power on the way through. And Russ Downing coming in to roll through. The finishing distance, folks, that you're looking out for is 41.4k, which means Emma Collier, you've got one more lap to go if you're listening in live. Remember, it's 41.4k. These are riders all on the way in and through. I think we're going to cut across to Mr. Bale in a moment and try and get ourselves back in through. That is the easiest way for us at the moment, because we are out and around on the circuit. So let's just jump in within if we can. Looks like that's going to be easier said than done, it has to be said. So we can try one more sneaky trick. Let's see if we can get ourselves out of here. And get back in to the circuit. We shall soon find out. Could be we're in deep trouble, but I think we're going to get in here. So let's try and pick ourselves in. As you can see, the commentary avatar just sat at the gate at the moment. So we are going to jump in with Darren Miller of Fusion, who should be on the climb. He is indeed, which means that we can just work our way up a little bit further towards the finish. Just jump in with Mark Thwaite, who is on his way in towards the line here. Apologies if we haven't covered you coming through the line. As you can appreciate at the moment, it's a little bit interesting as things get frantic. So riders come in. Looks like Zach Hutchinson just coming in at about 10 watts per kilo. Mark Thwaites on his way in towards the line. We're going to just drop back a little bit. Robinson coming in. Looks like Fletch coming through. Then Payne Callaway on his way into the line. Lee Allen just coming up towards the gantry. Looks like Karl Kopinski coming through just in front of Miller. Miller chasing hard behind. Looks like Kopinski's going to roll a couple of riders here. He is indeed. So next in is going to be Ellis. So Ellis is going to be our next rider heading towards the line. We're going to just drop back. It looks like Wilkinson, Darth Vader on his way in. Well done, mate. Now we're going to drop across. The Boy Hoy coming through. Coughlin on his way in just in front of Cornish. Cornish putting in a big dig behind. That's this group just coming through. McDonald, Vandergate coming through. Craig Genther on his way in. Rob Kennison coming through there. Fast time for Rob Kennison. It is pretty mad out on circuit. We're just going to try and drop our way back up to the back of the circuit here. So just jumping out of the ride, and we're going to jump back in a couple of seconds as soon as we get a quick refresh. And I think we're going to jump in with Joe Jarvis next of our riders we're going to go see. So just in with Joe on the way in towards the finish. Joe's going to come through being chased here by Ollie Sawyer, then Rose, followed by Topless on his way in towards the line. Then it's going to be Holmes, then Altaf Hussein coming in towards it. Cruz is coming through. McLean on the way in towards the line here. So Cruz coming in, taking that right hand turn, dropping across to Nunn, and looks like Wolfdale Phil Gaskell's on the way up towards that line. Joe Clay just coming into that finish as well. Looks like Mark Grant managing to put the Gremlins aside and make his way in just in front of Rob Carling. Carling in here. Looks like Lisa Leviton of the Bolsover mob coming through and going to be pushing into the line, finishing I think with one more lap after this. So Leviton's got at least one more lap to go, I think, as she comes in and through. We're just taking a little bit of a look here, because remember, of course, we have 41k or so to go. So I think Ben Cooling just finishing. Andy Verrill on a big sprint in here towards the line, comes in just in front of Nichols. Mosley, Hay coming through. Ruth Taylor just coming through there. Tom House coming in. We're going to try and drop back as fast as we can. These riders just out on circuit have definitely got plenty of riding to do. Just with Matt Malachy here now with Jarvis, who I think is in and out on her final lap here. One more lap for Joe to go. So Leverton with another lap. We're just in with Ian Brooks. Now in theory, Ian will have the least distance on his clock of anybody. I'm not going to guarantee that one. Has to be said. So Ian Brooks, our sweeper, currently with 35.6 to go. Rob Carlin has 35.7. Just going to keep a check. I know Mark Grant joined us late. Looks like Andy Wolf has got 39k, as has Lisa Leviton. So that's going to be about 3k to go, not even that. So half the circuit, less than 2k to go, in fact, for Leviton. So about half a lap for Leviton, half a lap for Mason. Looks like Holmes is going to have what is going to be one lap when he hits the line next time. Topless onto his last lap here, and got just over 1.5k. Rose a couple of laps to go. Looks like Macmillan's got the same. Joe Jarvis onto her last lap. Miss Cookie's got 2 laps to go. Young Taylor's on last lap here. Gooders is going to be coming up for, must be the last lap. There's going to be a difference in the lap times. Topless on his way around that corner, the same. Rose, couple of laps to go. Macmillan's on one. We're just going to take a little bit of a look up around the corner, get around that corner and up onto the climb proper. Let the screens do a little bit of a rejig. So McLaughlin heading in towards the line on that final climb. Looks like Carl Johnson. Carl, of course, a winner of our Sufferfest here. It was a real struggle for Carl. He was absolutely on the nail, on the rivet, as the saying goes, at the very first of the struggle events rides in the week. That was on the main big circuit. And at the moment, Carl Johnson continues to push on towards the line. Looks like Wilkinson is just ahead, and I think Wilkinson is going to have one more lap to go as it comes to line. John Paul Wheater is going to finish as John Paul hits the line this time. Ellis the same, and I think Ellis is pretty much just about to hit that gantry, so it looks like Scullin on the way through. Ellis going up towards the line here. Ricks is going to finish when they hit the line. Wheater the same. And just going to go back. Bezic going to finish at the line this time. Hanley has one more lap to go, as has Taylor. Wilkinson got a lap to go at the line this time around, and just taking a look, Carl Johnson definitely going to finish. You can see that massive kick here from Johnson as he comes in using that power up behind him. Then Vader's going out for one more, Taylor for one more. Morris is finishing at the line this time. Senior's going out, one more lap to go for Senior. Gooders are going to finish, and this is going to be a finish for Gooders when they hit the line. The same for McLaughlin. McLaughlin following Gooders. Then it's going to be a Crease who's being chased here by Taylor. Taylor's going to be in towards the finish, and Taylor is going to finish at the line this time, just coming around that right hand turn. Big kick from Taylor here at 13 watts per kilo being kicked out there. Great finish from Taylor. Then it's going to be Crease and Jarvis out. Jarvis will finish this time, so Joe Jarvis finishing when she hits the line this time. The same is going to be true for Ridley. Just see these riders just a little bit scattered around the circuit here. I'm going to try and jump in with a few coming up in towards the finish. So just coming in now. Mason's got the left-hand turn to do. I think Macmillan is probably going to be just too far up around the turn here. We're just in with Darren Topless at the moment. So Darren on his way into the line, and Darren going to finish when he hits the line this time. Well done, Darren. Holmes got one more lap to go. Mason finishing as he hits the line. Lisa Leviton's going to be the next of our finishers. She's on her way in to the finish now, just ahead of Andy Wolf. Andy Wolf will come in to finish immediately behind the Matlock man chasing through the line. Cootie is going to be the next finisher, because Stable's going to be going around with one more lap to go. So Cootie in with a big kick here. You can see the man in yellow just pushing it in towards the line. Here he goes. Super fast kick on the way through. Carlin's got another lap. Brooks has got another lap. Hopkinson, though, will finish this time round. So let's drop across to David Hopkinson. David, one of our regular riders, and improving week on week. A tough ride out there, it has to be said, today and on Tuesday. Don't forget, we have got some great routes coming up for the week coming up as Hopkinson and Sadler come through. We're just dropping back a little bit here because we want to just keep an eye on our next finishers. We'll pick people up on the next lap round as Sir Rodney comes in towards the line here. So Sir Rodney is going to be our next finisher, just kicking out 7 watts per kilo here. So Sir Rodney now pushing towards the line. Got 10-12 seconds on Brown at the moment. And Sir Rodney putting in a big kick here. All the way into the finish, mate. Nice big push there. So through goes Sir Rodney. Next up is going to be Brown, I think. We're just going to keep an eye on them as they come in. So Brown, our next finisher here. So well done to Brown. Behind it's going to be Dre. Dre putting in a big old kick on those pedals there. 80 revs per minute, 500 plus watch from Dre as he comes through the line. Next up is Dickinson following him in. It's going to be Ridley next, which is the wonderful man. It is Alan Parsons. Happy birthday, Alan, if I didn't say so earlier. Alan, of course, 21 now. Honest Gov. 21 a little bit. Behind then is Smith. So Smith, our next rider, coming in towards the line. Big kick from Smith. It's got 5 seconds on Beatty. Beatty's coming hard though. Behind, if we take a little bit of a look back, Beatty's coming and kicking at 8 watts per kilo. Is Smith done enough? He's putting in a final kick towards that line. And I'm not surprised, because look who's coming fast. It is Beatty who comes through faster than our cameras can catch them. And then Dickinson's going to be our next rider heading into the finish. And it's going to be Dickinson, and now just going over that 41k mark, just coming into the gantry, and under they go. Great finish there. Next up will be Mercer. So it's going to be Mercer and Bolt. Both should finish as they hit the line this time. So it is Mercer at the moment. Just heading in, Laura Mercer with Martin Bolt. Both riders together as they come in towards the line here. The finish of their ride here on the Donny Chain Gang, a part of Struggle Week. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed yourself here in Harrogate, you can get yourselves out to ride the Dales, Struggle Dales and Struggle Moors are all coming up. Now we're going to just drop across to what I think is likely to be our next finisher. And the reason for that is it's going to be Barnes, I think, who's going to be our next rider, who's going to finish as they come up to the line. Just taking a little bit of a kick up the hill. Wilkinson behind, then Senior, Taylor, Cookie, Holmes and Rose. But we're not going to guarantee that. The reason we're not going to guarantee that is, as you can see, this circuit really does play havoc with the screens and exactly where we are. We've got to say a massive thank you to Swift, because without these guys, we just couldn't bring you any of this coverage. So a big, big thank you to the guys at Swift. A massive thank you to Victoria and, of course, to Matt Manicki, who are the team at Struggle Events. It's been great working with them, and look forward to see whose TSS score and Struggle ride wins them the free rides in the Struggle Events, who gets the goodies afterwards as Barnes comes through to finish. Behind is going to be Wilkinson, Vader himself, or with the Vader helmet on the way to the line here. Last few meters to go for Wilkinson here on the run into the finish under the gantry to go. Next up will be Senior. So just riding in with Senior now. Senior finishing at 41.3. I think it's going to be Taylor next. So next in should be Taylor, famous last words, as Jan Taylor on the way round. A nice lightweight set of wheels, pretty aero as well, and that's what you want on the run into the finish here. Just seeing the gantry, going to see if we're going to get a kick here from Jan Taylor. This is going to be the finish. Jan now out of the saddle, pushing hard on those pedals, 400 plus watts here on the run into the gantry, and through she goes. Great ride in there. Behind comes Cookie pushing for the line as well, 360 watts or so. We're just going to try and drop back to our next finisher. I think it's going to be Holmes, so just going to go up to the corner. There is one rider in front, which is Kerrigan, and I think they are going to be out on their next lap, so it should be Holmes. Rose coming quick behind here, and I think Rose is going to have him on this corner. So Rose in the grey just coming around the side there of Holmes, and it's Rose who's on the way in now. So James Rose ahead of Tony Stables and Steve Holmes at the moment. Rob Carling chasing behind, but at the moment it is Rose who's around that corner. He's on this long sweeping right hand turn, being chased here by Holmes. These are the riders going to come through. Don't forget, if you finish your ride, make sure you get a picture of your ride report on Zwift with your TSS score. Rose comes through to finish just ahead here of Holmes. And we're just going to have to try and take a little bit of a drop back here. Easier said than done, it has to be said. We're just going to jump up in the air. So whilst we find our riders, we've got to say a massive thank you to everybody who has been out on a circuit, anybody who we have managed to keep an eye on during the ride today. Absolutely critical for us that we get to see all of our riders. We, I think, are going to have to do a little bit of a sneaky drop back out and a drop back in. Let's see if we can get back in with our riders. So just let our computer do a little bit of a reset here. Let's see who is still left on circuit. Looks like 2 riders, and I think we'll jump in first of all with Mark Grant. So Grant and Kerrigan are our 2 riders out on circuit at the moment. Got to say a big thank you to everybody at Struggle Event. A massive thank you to Swift. Don't forget, coming up next week, it is going to be a pretty gritty week. It is going to be pretty gritty. That is for sure. The sustainable clothing, and CEO Caroline Mansfield had a little chat with Caroline today, and I know she's got some great plans. We've got a great giveaway coming up of some pretty gritty clothing, and Grant just ticking along. I think according to this, 2 more laps to go for Grant, and I think 2 more laps to go for Kerrigan, who is on the way up the climb at the minute. So we should be able to ride in, I think, with Grant first of all. So let's jump in with Grant. Now remember guys, if you are on the ride, if you're watching this back later, we do need you to do a couple of things. It's really simple. Stay with the yellow beacon until the go. Don't try and get some sliding room going up the road. If you go up the road and you distance the rest of the group, what happens is everybody chases you. Everybody behind, who's maybe not as strong, gets distanced. You're part of the problem, not the solution. If you push on beyond the yellow beacon, you rip the ride to pieces. So please guys, if you are in that position, stay with the yellow beacon. We can't make it any clearer than that. Stay with the yellow beacon. I understand it, Russ understands it, and pretty much everybody understands it. So guys, stay with that yellow beacon as long as you can. Once that goes, then it's time to go. Then you can go for it. Knock yourselves out guys. Take the win if you can. We'll be very impressed, believe me. You've seen what it takes to do that. Basically, be a pro, should have been a pro, has been a pro, or is going to be a pro, and you're probably going to be in with a chance. If you go on the ride, please follow the rules. If you don't know what they are, it's really easy. To join the ride, you've got to register. On that page, it tells you what's going to happen in the ride. Might be worth having a read. You wouldn't start a race without reading the race manual. Oh, probably you're one of those that does, but you're equally not going to know where the finish is, not going to know how the ride's going to run, and you'll rip it up and spoil it for everyone else. If you're a sponsored rider, that's even worse, because your sponsor looks like you are a complete muppet. And who wants to sponsor a muppet? You know, nobody's going to do it. So please guys, keep it together, keep it smooth, and try and stay with that group as long as you can. You will get a fast workout. If a pro like Stephen de Jong who can come on and play by the game, people like Mason Holliman, Connor Swift, people who are at the top of the game, they can come on and ride it, as can riders like Mark and everybody who's still on circuit. You can do it too, and you will improve. I can guarantee that you'll improve if you play the game properly. So that's how it works. Structured workout. Remember, if you want to help us keep putting on the ride, what we need you to do is join the gang, the DCG gang. To do that, it's really easy. Go onto the Facebook page for the links. Go onto the DONNYCHAINGANG.com site. Click on those links to either monthly or yearly, whether you want to join for a month or for a year. Say thank you from Russ and me. We've got loads of discount codes coming your way, so don't forget we've got Grand Tour Coffee coming up, we've got Pretty Gritty, we've currently got a Struggle giveaway on there, we've got Halo Wheels on board as well, we've got loads more coming up, more than I can even remember, and certainly more weeks. What we need you to do though is make sure that you join the gang. By doing so, by donating that money, what we do is we put it towards making all this run. As you've seen tonight, there are glitches, we got to blow things up, the power that it requires and the lines in, always constantly pushing the limit, and that means that we can keep on bringing you better improvements in terms of the coverage here on YouTube, and we can also keep on bringing you lots of giveaways. But we need you to register, and we need you ideally to donate. It works out at $3.50 a rider. That's what the cost to do this is. Anybody donating less than that, Russ and me basically end up funding it. If you donate that, thank you very much. Donate what you can. If you're up Queer Street because you've got basically no money, don't make yourself skint, guys. We put this on to support people, not to put you in trouble. So please, guys, if you've got some spare cash, chuck it in there. Promise you will use it wisely. Try and keep all of this together and working. Try and make all the computers work, all the tech work. And, of course, bring you a great ride and a great community on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and of course great partnerships with people like Struggle. So a massive thank you to the guys, to Matt and to Victoria. Now Mark Grant, a man who was having a few tech issues on his way in, now on that final climb. It looks like Kerrigan is just behind him on the circuit, so we're going to follow Grant on this climb up at the moment. I want to say a massive thank you if you have been riding. It's really important we get loads of riders on, quite simply because it means there's a group for most of our riders to stick with and to get through to the finish. There's going to be some tough rides and some fast rides coming up. Remember, it's not meant to be easy, it's meant to test you. It's the Donny Chain Gang. So let's go back in with Mark Grant, who's on this climb, and let's see just whereabouts he is and how much of that climb he's got left. A tough day out today, but I think he's only got a couple of corners left. So here on the Donny Chain Gang, we are in with Grant. Mark Grant going to take this right hand turn. So let's get up in the air. The wonders of having a drone to hand at the press of a button. So Mark now taking the right off the long climb, say left into the suburbs here, and as you can see, going to be taking that left hand turn, just about able to see the gantry peeking up over the top, and Grant here continuing to push in towards the gantry, looking good at the moment, and I think he's going to be able to really give us a final kick in. This is it. Through he goes. So Mark Grant completing the ride here, and I think that is just going to leave Kerrigan out on circuit. We're going to do our little sneaky trick to try and get back out, and then just let everything reset itself before we jump back in again. As you can see, I get to go nowhere. I just see the inside of a pen. It's really dull, really, to be honest, inside the pens. It's much better to be out with Kerrigan. So Anthony Kerrigan on circuit, 40.3k done, and Kerrigan, our rider, on the climb. So Kerrigan looking good at the moment. So Anthony Kerrigan currently 2.6 watts per kilo, now pushing up to 3. That's 250 watts or so, 93 revs per minute, 166 beats per minute. Nice high cadence here. That's the revs per minute, and that is what we want. That's what's going to keep you smooth, and looks like Kerrigan keeping those revs moving very, very nicely indeed. The drone up in the air, dodging the trees, and in we go here in Harrogate, home of Struggle events and home for the Donny Chain Gang for the last 2 rides, and Kerrigan looking like he's going to come across that line nice and smoothly. Smooth on Swift, or in the virtual world, it's all about keeping the revs high, sitting in the wheels, keeping it consistent, and being able to push all the way to the finish. And that's exactly what Anthony Kerrigan is doing, because this is the little rundown to the left hand turn. Around the turn he goes, and it kicks back up at 2%, but coming into sight comes the gantry. So into the finish comes Anthony Kerrigan here on Struggle Week, the second of the rides, the Duchy Estate, a really tough crit, and through goes Kerrigan, and in goes a PR as well with 24 seconds done. So here on the Struggle Event Week, I want to say a thank you for watching. Join us next week. Don't forget, if you are a member of the DCG gang and you've only joined for January, you need to get your January done with. You need to now join for February. That's going to kick off with some more discount codes and some great giveaways. Don't forget, if you got off the bike, make sure you post that TSS score, put it onto social media, put at Struggle Events, at Donny Chain Gang on Facebook or Instagram, and we're going to be keeping an eye on those over the next sort of 12 hours or so. It's probably about as long as you've got, to be brutally honest. We'll be up very early tomorrow checking them all out, and we'll get you those details out on Facebook. Watch out for Pretty Gritty Week next week coming your way, and we've got some great giveaways, and of course we've got some great courses and a great ride. So thank you for joining me, Matt Payne, here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel. From Russ Downing, from myself, Matt Payne, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week on the Donny Chain Gang.